When the first Deadpool film came out in 2016, people lost their shit. Not only did it finally give us an adaptation of the character that was on point, but it was incredibly hilarious and filled with a ton of Easter eggs and references. Luckily, not much has changed as far as the sequel, Deadpool 2, is concerned. So today we'll be counting down some of our picks for Easter eggs and references in the film, all while trying to avoid ruining any major plot points. But there definitely will be spoilers, so be warned. With that in mind, here are our top 10 Easter eggs you missed in Deadpool 2. And at number 10, sun's getting real low. Fans of the MCU films may have noted a familiar line that Deadpool utters to Juggernaut in order to calm him down, which of course doesn't work at all. The line is, sun's getting real low, and it's a reference to what is said to the Hulk in an attempt to calm the Green Monster down. It happens twice, in both Avengers Age of Ultron and Thor Ragnarok, although most of you may remember that Thor's attempt doesn't quite have the same effect as Black Widow's does.
The sun's getting real low. No one hurt you anymore. No one will.
And at number 9, DC references. The MCU isn't the only comic book franchise that Deadpool references. The DCEU gets its fair share of cracks, with Deadpool specifically referencing the train wreck that was Batman vs Superman. At one point in the film, Vanessa asks Deadpool where he's been, to which he responds with a remark that was fighting a caped badass, and that the fight ended when the two of them realized that both of their mothers were named Martha, which is exactly what happens in Batman vs Superman.
Martha, why did you say that name?
Stop! Please, stop!
Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name!
And at number 8, Alpha Fight. Deadpool spends a lot of time in Dopinder's cab, in both Deadpool films, but this time around we got to see a whole lot more of the character, and he became a member of the X-Force. While his scenes are always great, there's one detail that you may have missed about his cab. The ad on top of it is an advert for Alpha Fight, which is a group of Canadian superheroes in the Marvel Universe. Never any shortage of Canada shoutouts and references when it comes to Ryan Reynolds. Up next, number 7, M-Day. Back in 2005, there was a Marvel storyline called Decimation that was a spin-off of the House of M series, and followed the consequences of Scarlet Witch stripping 91.4% of the mutant population of their powers, an event that is referred to as M-Day. So how does this tie into Deadpool 2? Well, in the Essex House for Mutant Rehabilitation, there's a bunch of posters on the walls that read M-Day is near. It's not the only House of M reference either. Cable mentions his daughter's name is Hope, who, in the comics, is the first mutant born after the events of House of M. In our number 6 spot, X-Men. Looks like the studio could afford some more X-Men this time around. Quite a few, actually. During one scene in which Deadpool has been brought back to Xavier's mansion by Colossus, there's a brief shot where we see Beast, played by Nicholas Hoult, shutting a door to a room that also featured a few other familiar faces: James McAvoy's Charles Xavier, Ty Sheridan's Cyclops, and Evan Peters' Quicksilver. This isn't the only reference to characters from the Fox X-Men films. Deadpool 2 opens up with a toy figurine that depicts Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and his death scene from another recent hit film, Logan. And at the end of the film, in a mid-credit scene, we get to see Deadpool finally get some satisfying vengeance for himself, when he makes use of Cable's time-traveling trick to go back to 2009, specifically during X-Men Origins Wolverine, and kills himself, joking that he's cleaning up the timelines. We also got to see a 2009 Logan at that point too. And at number 5, Mr. Sinister. Speaking of the X-Men, remember that post-credit scene at the end of X-Men Apocalypse? It featured a suited man slipping a vial of Logan's blood into a suitcase that had the label Essex Corp on it. This was a hint to what the follow-up feature would have included: villain Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Sinister. While Mr. Sinister doesn't appear in Deadpool 2, there is a pretty big reference to the character. Russell, the kid who's the centerpiece of the film's plot, has been kept at the Essex House for Mutant Rehabilitation. The film's screenwriters have noted that they included this detail in order to give the X-Mansion a foil, and that they don't have plans for using the character in any other Deadpool films. Speaking of the screenwriters though, they both have cameos in the movie. Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick appear as a news helicopter pilot and a cameraman. Up next at 4, Rob Liefeld. Deadpool was first introduced to us back in the New Mutants issue 98, back in 1991, when he was created by Rob Liefeld. Aside from being the anti-hero's creator, Liefeld is known for many feats and flaws in the comic book industry, including a long-running joke that he is really bad at drawing feet. Like really bad at it. Look at all those awful feet.
Walking around on those, what do you call them? Oh, feet.
He's also really bad at drawing Captain America too, but that's kind of a whole other can of worms for another video. Anywho, Deadpool is fully aware of this running joke, and at one point during the film makes a reference to a comic book artist who is bad at drawing feet. Yep, that's Rob Liefeld. Up next, number 3, Les Miserables. The 2009 Wolverine appearance and the Logan toy weren't the only references connected to Hugh Jackman in Deadpool 2. Russell's prisoner number at the Essex House for Mutant Rehabilitation is 24601.
Now prisoner 24601. Your time is up and your parole's begun.
Which Les Mis fans will recognize as the number that Jean Valjean, the character that Jackman portrayed in the most recent cinematic adaptation of Les Mis, is assigned. In at number 2, The Cure for Blindness. One of the best things about Deadpool films is their comedic timing, especially when it comes to recurring jokes. Back in the first Deadpool movie, Wade takes many a crack at Blind Al. During one scene, after a brief sentimental moment, he makes a joke to her about a massive pack of cocaine buried under her apartment, next to The Cure for Blindness. In the sequel, the Cure for Blindness joke lives on. Wade actually retrieves the bag of cocaine. And what's next to it? A bag that is marked Cure for Blindness. And finally, in at number 1, Brad Pitt. Back when Deadpool 2 was casting, Brad Pitt was actually in the running to play Cable rather than Thanos. Sorry, Josh Brolin. He didn't get the part due to scheduling conflicts, but didn't walk away empty-handed either. Pitt was offered a cameo in the film as another character, Vanisher, a character that's entirely invisible. Now in the comics, Vanisher is typically depicted as an antagonist of the X-Men. He's a supervillain mutant who first appeared in 1963, and was briefly associated with X-Force in 2009. In the film though, his ability is that he's invisible, which is hilarious. And during the helicopter scene, where various members of the team meet their end in a pretty gruesome way when they jump out of the helicopter, Vanisher is one of those members. Vanisher also meets his end. He lands on a telephone wire and we see him for a split second. And it's Brad Pitt. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which of these Easter eggs and references did you pick up on immediately? And which ones will you have to go back and watch for next time around? Because who doesn't watch every Marvel movie more than once, especially when it's Deadpool? Give us a shout about all of your thoughts and feels in those comments below. Now, there's a whole lot of Easter eggs and references that we didn't include on this list, because, 10 numbers. So if you want us to do a part 2, give us a shout about that as well. If you dug this video, please show us some love and hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you're feeling more Deadpool and Marvel, make sure you click on the playlist we currently have flashing on your screen for more nerdy goodness. In the meantime, thanks for watching everybody, I'll catch you all in the next video.